Hello and welcome to One United. My name is Paritosh Joshi and I'm here along with Wali Siddiqui and Anshuman Joshi talking to you about Manchester United and the season going forward. The signings, a recent positive result, the football that we're playing, and the positive aura around Manchester United as a whole. We're talking about United, and here with me is Wali and Anshuman. Wali, first of all, welcome to the show. And we talked about signings in the last episode as well. क्रिस्टियन एरिक्सन कंफर्म हो चुका है, लेकिन वो अनाउंसमेंट नहीं हुआ है. अपेरेंटली मेडिकल वेडिकल सब हो चुका है उसका, पर अभी तक ऑफिशियल अनाउंसमेंट नहीं हुआ है. मार्टिनेज की डील हो चुकी है. मार्टिनेज इज अबाउट टू कम टू मैनचेस्टर, क्योंकि उसका एक आध इंस्टाग्राम स्टोरी दिख गई किसी दोस्त की. उसने बोल दिया फेयरवेल डिनर समथिंग इस टाइप का. और खुशी की लहर दौड़ चुकी है यूनाइटेड फैंस के बीच. So, what do you feel and how do you feel about the current position of Manchester United?
Well, in terms of transfers, first and foremost, यार कहना पड़ेगा कि I have no clue as to why they're not announcing Christian Eriksen because it's been done. Here we go भी हो चुका है. Fabrizio ने कह दिया, and the same goes for Martinez. His chef himself confirmed on Instagram that Manchester United fans take good care of him. He's going. I'm actually quite excited for him as well, and we were just having this conversation before coming live over here that I have high hopes for Martinez. I don't know why. Like I've seen some of his highlights on YouTube. Like I've done my research on him, and he's like kind of an adaptable player. He's someone compared him to a Mascherano. What Mascherano was for Barcelona because he could have fit in as a centre back. He could have also been used as a centre defensive midfielder for Barcelona. And that is something which can be done with Martinez over here as well because his long range passing is something which is immaculate. He's a hothead Argentinian. So even when there was an interview during when he was in Ajax. Timber had given an interview in which he said that I made a few errors, and as soon as I made those errors, Martinez was straight up to my face and he was cursing me. So that's good to know that there's a leader in him as well because we lack some leadership personalities at this club. So I'm excited for him. I have high hopes for him. Eriksen is a smart player as well. And apart from that, what all we've been hearing about Frankie is that he's also about to join Manchester United. It's just the personal terms that are pending at this moment of time. I kind of feel sorry for him because the guy didn't want to move away from Barcelona. It's basically his boyhood club. First and foremost, his dream was to play with Messi. Messi left. His dream was then to stay with Barcelona and have a legacy of his own. But that's ruined and they're clearly portraying him as a villain. तो वो अब जाने वाला and he's about to come to United. But I think it's for the better. हमारे लिए तो especially I think at this
We're
stage
getting him
we are
from a very decent price. We're getting him for a very decent price. He moved to Barcelona for
yeah.
around 75 million euros, and we are getting the
Mm.
deal for 75 plus 10 million add-ons. So it's a
And
good deal, I
although
think.
like I was a big Paul Pogba fan, and I like eventually know that he was going to leave Manchester United. If there was someone who I wanted Paul Pogba to be replaced by, that was Frankie De Jong. Although they are different in terms of style of play, but if there's anyone who could actually, fill in that void, I think Frankie De Jong has that personality in terms of creativity, in terms of his passing range, discipline, whatever you say. उसका अगर आप stats भी देखोगे, his passing accuracy is above 90%. That's what I've seen, like 92, 93%. That's something which we need right now at this moment of time. So I'm excited. Or खुशी होती if we would have gone for Anthony, but since I don't think Ronaldo is leaving, Anthony will not be coming in. So I think these might be our final few signings, and I think it will be a good enough transfer window. I'll rate it a 7 out of 10 if we end up signing these three players.
Okay, Anshuman, coming to you now, how do you feel about Manchester United signing these players and the aura regarding United right now?
I mean, I feel the same way felt last week and the last time we recorded this. It's very important to not go overboard. And Frankie De Jong is coming for reasons because Barcelona needs him to go. And it's a sad situation. I really feel bad for him on a personal note, but it is what it is. And
Mm,
in him, we're going to get a player that the manager really wants. So you would hope that Ten Hag would really use him the right way. So it will be a player that will be put to good use if and when he arrives. And Lisandro Martinez, I think in the last recording we talked about him, and I said that he was a much more important player for me because Ten Hag really likes those kind of players that can operate in different positions, at least understand what operating in different positions is like. And from most of what I've heard and from most of what I've read, the indications are that Ten Hag would want him to play at centre back, preferably as an LCB. So even though he has played as a defensive midfielder in the past, I don't think it's that much of a likely. It's that likely at this point, but I suppose we will see. And as far as Christian Eriksen is concerned, I think it's a done deal. And I think the medicals are done. I think it's more of a social media thing at this point. I think the PR team is finalizing how to put it out, how to get the most number of engagements. So I think that's what it has reached. That's the point it has reached. So yeah, I mean, we are making the signings now. Again, we- this would feel like quite optimistic because we were losing our minds when we were not signing any players. But then again, that was a hyper reaction. So it did not. That was not a situation that required hyper reaction. So this is not a situation that required a hyper reaction as well. So Manchester United were going after players. They are getting the players they wanted. They're getting the players Ten Hag wants. And the quicker they come, the quicker he can incorporate them into the team, and the quicker they can start playing well on the pitch as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's good to see that the players that we're going for are finally arriving, and I hope Lisandro comes. I think it's almost a done deal, but I usually keep it open. So I hope he does. I'd like to see how Eric uses Christian Eriksen because it does bring himself again a lot of versatility. And the one thing that is common with all these players is that they come from the school of Ajax, and Ajax we know that what kind of footballing institution they are, and the principles that were initiated there by Renus Michels, which were then continued and evolved by Johan Cruyff. They are always there, and Ten Hag's philosophies are built onto that. So I think it is going to be interesting to see how the season will pan out. But yes, it's nice to see that the findings that we were being linked with are finally going through.
Okay, we've talked about the signings for a bit. Let's talk about the big win that we registered against Liverpool. United fans very happy about that all over the globe. Uh, some were skeptical, and I think I am one of those. But being happy is something that Manchester United have not had regarding the team very often. So I guess थोड़ा बहुत लीवे दे देना चाहिए. It's okay to celebrate some wins, especially if you win 4-0 against Liverpool, who have defeated you 9-0 in totality in the Premier League last season. So, uh, what are your thoughts about the Liverpool result, Anshuman?
So it still needs to be prefaced that it was the first game of the season. It's still a preseason game. It doesn't really matter. But yes, we have been so deprived of any kind of effort from our players over the last 6 months that we just needed something. We needed this because even though it was an irrelevant match, the one thing that it gave us was something that had been missing for the past 4 5 months, which was the players putting in the effort and the players actually looking like they wanted to show the manager, okay, I want to give everything for the team. And it wasn't just the youth players, it wasn't just the players who would eventually go out on loan. It was everyone. And I think the parts was the most crucial thing. And there were little bits and pieces that you could see. I mean, the team tried to press a bit coherently. The McTominay and Fletch pairing was again there, but it was again not that much of an issue because again you are playing against Liverpool, who will play with a high line, and Jurgen Klopp had planned to play three different squads for 30 minutes. So that they had already planned to see that how they'll pan out. They weren't really looking to win the match. So this was a match quite well suited for us to win, and the fact that we have gotten off a start is quite decent for us. I think had we lost, I think it would again created a shitstorm, and there's nothing wrong with celebrating anything. So if we are celebrating this when it's great, celebrate whatever little things come your way. I would say there's nothing wrong with that. If anyone has an issue, let it be. So that is what this is. We had a good match. Fred chipped in a goal with his right foot, so it's always good to see that. And there were quite a few positives. There were little bits and pieces in which you could see that Ten Hag had been trying to do something. There you had your fullbacks inverting, and Luke Shaw was trying that. Dallo was trying to put balls in for Sancho on the right. He was hugging the touchline, and you had Martial playing as number 9 and Rashford playing as number 9. And the interesting thing was they were both trying to drift wider than their original positions, but neither of them were actually getting in each other's way, which was a big issue that I had noticed when Martial and Rashford played together. And this is something even we addressed at the start of the season before when we lost against Crystal Palace. And I remember pointing this out that if from Pogba to Rashford to Martial to Dan James, everyone was trying to come off the left hand side and it wasn't just working. So the fact that that seemed a different thing was quite decent. And the fact that our youngsters were able to hold off the Liverpool first team for 30 minutes and made a very good account of themselves was also quite optimistic to see. So yeah, as far as first matches and first match under a new manager goes, it was a pretty decent outing for United, and it definitely has lifted the spirits a bit, which was very important for us. And it doesn't really mean anything, but it doesn't really have to because we know that this season we are not going to go for a lot of glory. We already know that this season is about being realistic. This season is about letting Ten Hag figure his team out, figure his core of players out. And as long as we keep that in mind, I think we're going to have a nice season. And we might not get a trophy, we might not even get Europe, but as long as Ten Hag is able to figure something out of what to do with the United team, and he's backed, all of which is very unlikely because we have very little precedent of that. So at this point, we can only say that we need to give the team and the new hierarchy the benefit of the doubt and see how they fare over the next coming months. So yeah, it was decent to start off with a win, and let's see where this goes.
Okay, so a positive start, but many more changes to be made, and that is something that Eric Ten Hag also pointed out that although it was a positive result and we played some good football, but there were many mistakes that were made, and we shouldn't be too happy about this. And that is actually quite good that he was the first one to say that we still are far away from being challenging enough to compete with the top teams, and that's good. That shows that there is a sense of reality within the team and with the manager, and that's good. That's always good. And another thing regarding United's performance was that Manchester United fans were काफी happy कि यूनाइटेड वो प्रेसिंग हाई और क्या यूनाइटेड अब हाई प्रेस में खेलेगी तो दैट इज समथिंग दैट वी हैवंट सीन इन अ लॉन्ग while और यूनाइटेड fans were quite happy about it. What are your thoughts about it, Wali? I'll ask you first.
Well, to be very honest, I was quite optimistic after that first performance. The reason why I say that is, like Anshuman has also said, we've been deprived of some good football for the last, I don't know, 1.5, 2 years. We haven't seen fluidity at all with this Manchester United team. The last time we saw fluidity was in Ralph Ragnick's first 35 minutes against Crystal Palace. And then after that, everything fell apart. We were not scoring enough goals till we eventually lost to Atletico Madrid. Then we completely derailed our season. But now, if you look at Eric Ten Hag, if you look at what his interviews have been, it clearly looks like he's a man who loves walking the talk at this moment of time. He's clearly stated that I want our football to be proactive rather than reactive, and he clearly took the game by the Liverpool by the jugular. Even if you look at the first half, the first 45 minutes, you could say that Liverpool had their decent amount of chances. But if you talk about the clear-cut chances, I think there were a couple of more clear-cut chances. If United had scored that, I think it would have been a much better scoreline for Manchester United. So the reason why I say that is because the improvements that I've seen in that first game is that first and foremost, David De Gea was off his line. He was a sweeper keeper. Sweeper keeper. That was something which I haven't seen from David De Gea for I don't know God knows when. And he was actually his distribution was also fairly decent. I have to say that his distribution was good in that game. He looked more commanding. Then, if you look at our centre backs, I think Lindelof looked good. Rafael Varane's passing was good, although he was a little soft in defense, but his passing range was good. Victor Lindelof did make some good aerial clearances. You look at Eric Bailly in the second half, I think he was my man of the match. He was completely dominating Darwin Nunes, Mohamed Salah, and then he went for that solo trip. But end of the day, it was for Zindo Balestri that ended up scoring that goal. Then, if you look at Anthony Martial, like we all label him as lazy, but the way that he scored his goal was that he got the ball from the half line. He pressed the defender, whoever it was, that Liverpool defender was, and he ended up chipping the goalkeeper. One of the best goalkeepers of the Premier League, that is Alisson. Rashford was decent. Bruno Fernandes, I was the most impressed by him. The reason why I say that is because Bruno Fernandes loves playing hero ball, and for him to not do that in a preseason friendly against Liverpool, is something which means that he's clearly listening to the manager and what he has to say. He kept it simple. Jaden Sancho was crisp as well. I love Dalot with those runs that he was making up front. He should have got a goal for himself as well. Luke Shaw, I think in patches he did play decently well, but he could have done better. And yeah, I was disappointed with Donny van de Beek, to be very honest. I had more hopes of him in the second half, but clearly it was Zidane Iqbal and you talk about Facundo Pellistri. These were the guys who stole the show in the second half, and Eric Bailly, of course. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he fits these new players if they come. It clearly means that, like for now, these players are clearly listening to Ten Hag, the manager. And for me, to be very honest, it didn't matter that we were facing Liverpool. What mattered to me was that I wanted to see how we're going to play under Ten Hag. What I saw on like 2 3 days ago was positive for me. I think there's room for improvement. The best part is that in spite of winning 4-0, like some of our fan bases are gassing it up, but the manager was grounded and he said, I saw a lot of mistakes and we need to improve them in spite of winning 4-0. So that's one area in which we have improved. He's going to make sure that these guys remain grounded and improve. There's always room for improvement. And even tomorrow's game, it's against Melbourne Victory. I'm excited for that as well because I want to see my team play positive football. That is what I saw. And I hope that this is a trend that we're going to follow in the season ahead. So I think it's good. It's a good start for United, and this would actually help their confidence.
Okay. And Anshuman, what are your thoughts
Mhm.
about the football and the high press and everything regarding मैच यूनाइटेड अभी कैसा फैंस को एकदम से ऐसा शॉक मिला है कि ओके वी आर गोइंग टू प्ले दिस वे दैट्स नाइस.
I mean, there is an aspect to it that we are looking way too much into the game because the sample size of what we have in front of us as far as Eric Ten Hag's Manchester United is concerned, and what Manchester United usually has been for quite a while now, are two completely different things. And what we usually know is a dysfunctional United, and we have had one match, and yes, a lot of positives to look at, but again, we need to be as grounded as our manager has been in saying that we saw a lot of mistakes, and indeed there were a lot of mistakes. And if he saw them, I think it's important because he is a very hands-on manager, which was not the case with Solskjaer, obviously. And for Rangnick, he just did not have enough time to be able to implement that. And so I think the high pressing thing. Uh, I think we're going to have to see what kind of players we end up with because if we do end up with Cristiano in the side, we are not going to play high pressing football. We are going to have to
Which
accommodate
looks like the case. Which looks like the
which
case.
currently does look like the case, yes. And so if does keep that continues happening, I
So,
think Eric Ten
Anshuman,
Hag's situation.
Anshuman, one thing.
Haji,
So you mean to
yeah.
say if we play Martial, we're going to press high? That's what you're saying?
See, the thing about Martial is we do make fun of him, but he has his positives. And I think
At
the
least in
last great
attack.
match,
At least in attack.
the
We'll give him that. At least in attack, he has his
because
positives.
the last great performance that we remember of Martial was against Manchester City in the season before, in which he beat them both at home and away. And even in that game, he did not score any goals, but he was the perpetrator who gave us the penalty in the first minute. And again, he was completely holding the Man City defenders, and he was going all over the place. He was drifting them out wide. So that is the thing that Martial does have. And if via Ten Hag's instructional coaching, if he's able to incorporate that into his system, then I think he's much better. With Cristiano Ronaldo, it's not just the player you are having to deal with; it's the complete organization. It's the noise that comes with it. Which is the Chelsea have recently rejected Cristiano Ronaldo. It's confirmed now. It's not because Ted Boehly did not want him. It's because Thomas Tuchel did not want him, and it's very understandable that any manager with a bit of systems first approach would look at Cristiano and say, "Look, he's one of the greatest players of all time," but that's not what we need right now. What we need is this is modern day football for you. And while Cristiano has his positives, and he'll always have that, he'll always have that clutch moment mentality. He is a hindrance for Manchester United. He has been since day one, which is not on him. This is again, he's not the problem. The fact that he was brought back was the problem. So he's a symptom of what makes Manchester United. He's not a problem. This is something that I've always maintained. And if he continues to be at the club, I will keep feeling sorry for him because I think at this point he should start asking questions to George Mensch, his agent, as to why he bothered bringing him back to Manchester United. He could have won a couple more trophies. He could have broken a bit more records at Juventus. He would have earned more money because he was on higher wages, and the Italian tax laws are a lot more lax than the UK tax laws. So he could have happily stuck around at Juventus another year and could have moved on this season. But just it's just his luck that even this season PSG have bought in two very good
Yes.
football savvy player people, Luis Campos and Christophe Galtier, and neither of them want Cristiano, which is again very understandable thing. Anyone with even a little bit of football input will be able to tell you that he's in the long run not going to help you out. So yeah, as far as the pressing aspect is concerned, I think a lot of it which that we saw against Liverpool will not be the case for the long term if Cristiano sticks around, and it will just be another noisy affair as long as he sticks. And I hope for his sake he gets to leave and play Champions League football, because at the end of the day, I'm a Manchester United fan and this is a very long grind. And he doesn't need this. He didn't want this in the big at the start. Also, he's 37 years of age. He's looking for one last hurrah, and I hope that he gets it and he gets to go play for a Champions League club. I'm just concerned with what happens to Manchester United. So yeah, the pressing thing is not going to happen that much if he sticks around. And it's good to see, like Wally also pointed out, that Bruno was not really playing hero ball. And while he is a volume creator, and that is one of the strongest sides of him, and I don't necessarily want him to stop creating chances. I think if Erik Ten Hag can give him a lot more instructions via which he can abide and create a bit more patterns of play, then I think that would be quite conducive to even our successes and for his individual success as well. So I think at this point, I'd just say that I trust Ten Hag to be able to bring the best out of Bruno Fernandes. And whether he plays as a second striker, whether he plays as an unconventional number nine, I trust him to get the best out of him, because we have seen him play over the last 2.5 years, and even last season, which was supposedly not a very good one for him, he did generate good numbers. So Bruno is a decent guy, and which is pretty much an understatement at this point. And I trust our manager to do good things with him.
Okay, we have some people watching us. If you want, you can go to the live chat or the comment section. We can pick up your comments from there, and we can talk about United if you're interested. If you are a fan of some other club, you can also comment, and we'll get to know you. We'll get to know what are your questions about football or anything regarding uh, any club. If it is in relation to Manchester United, that's a plus. So, moving back to United, United actually have some positive things going forward as far as we can gather. But right now, the thing is that it's still too early. The signings are still not confirmed, and with United, we very well know how long from imminent to confirmed and official things take. So we can still hope for the best. And although I have some questions, especially regarding the kind of football we'll be able to play on a consistent basis, it's more regarding how will Cristiano Ronaldo uh, fit into Eric Ten Hag's system. Because as far as I can gather, he is staying, and I knew it from the get-go that he is going to stay when all the noise was there. I said in the last podcast that there's a very big chance that he might end up staying at United, and although Eric Ten Hag has said that he brings goals and I like the fact that Eric Ten Hag always backs his players. There's still some kind of ambiguity, I'll say, regarding United role of Cristiano Ronaldo in United system, because he has still not joined the preseason team. He's not. There are still no visuals how he'll play. So I think we'll have to wait for that. Or do you have any idea, Anshuman or Wali? I'll ask Anshuman first. How do you think? Because you have some strong opinions regarding Ronaldo and United. I'd like to question you first regarding how will he be able to fit in the system, or what is your opinion about that?
Well, I think that it depends more on what kind of reinforcement Manchester United end up doing in the transfer window, because the thing that we now know with Cristiano over his after his 3 years at Juventus and 1 year at Manchester United, is that as great as he is and as much he deserves whatever plaudits he gets, the success he had with Real Madrid was not because it was just him, but because it was Cristiano Ronaldo doing great things in a great team. And if you needed a proof for that, Real Madrid proved that last season by winning the Champions League in a system where they were not the best team. They were not the best team for most of their knockout ties, and
But
still they
that
are here. They
is
are with their 14th
right.
Champions League. Yeah.
Anshuman, I think that is modern football in general. One player cannot drive the team. There can be leaders in a team, but you need a
Mhm.
great system and a great team to win you trophies. That has been the
Yeah,
case with
and that
Barcelona.
and that
With
was also.
Barcelona and Messi, when Xavi, Iniesta,
Mhm,
Carlos Puyol, Dani Alves, all these
mhm.
players were there. And as soon as these players left, Messi wasn't able to show or portray what he really is capable of. And
Yeah, well,
that is always
that is the unimpressing reality of football, because at the end of the day, it is a team sport, and for the sake of celebration and romanticism that we try to find in every single thing that we like, we can talk about individualism in the game, or we can try to find practical use of the individual awards that we want. But at the end of the day, this is a team sport, and the team has to come together. And even if you are the greatest player of all time on an individual level, it doesn't really matter if you are not playing in a team that can function as a unit. And over the last 4 years, I would say that Cristiano has not been doing that, because Juventus have regressed in the 3 years that he was at the club. Directly wasn't his fault, but the fact that the hierarchy of the club decided that he was the final piece in a jigsaw that was already crumbling. They made that mistake, and they made a lot of mistakes after that. So again, this is not something that is directly his problem. Again, going back to Manchester United, was a decision that wasn't made by him. The club interfered in a situation that it didn't need to. It was a whole thing. They did not Cristiano. They did not need Cristiano. Cristiano did not need Manchester United. And one thing that you will have the Cristiano defenders saying that he scored a lot of goals. Yes, he did. That's what Cristiano Ronaldo does. Nobody questions that. Nobody's even questioning right now. Like, even if he comes back right now, he will end up with 15 to 20 goals. Nobody's disputing that, because when you put a player and a personality like that in a team, everything becomes about him. And he scored 20 goals last season. If he sticks around and goes back into the team, he'll score 20 again. I have absolutely no doubt about that. But the team will not improve. The team will not get better. Individual success does not necessarily translate team success if you are not building it right. And that is the thing. Because if you want to look at Cristiano's 20 plus goals last season, you can do that. I would much rather look at Manchester United's overall goal tally, and that would like to point out how they scored some like 25 to 30 goals less than they did the season before. So that's what I'm getting at. Like, when you're working as a team, the most successful teams focus on how the team can function as a unit, and how they can get the best out of the whole team, not just an individual player. So that is always going to be an issue. And if you want to defend Cristiano, you can, because again, I'm not saying he's a bad player. He was our
no.
best player
I'm
last
not
season,
defending.
and
I'm not
even
defending him. I'm just
I'm
saying that
just saying
how do
it's in
you
general.
I'm
Yeah.
saying that how do you feel uh, he'll fit, because Eric Ten Hag, from what we've seen as of now, he's the kind of manager who's always gonna protect his players. He's always
Mhm.
gonna build that team spirit, and he's not gonna throw anyone under the bus or
Mhm.
say that because the system, because of this particular player, the system is not working or things
Mhm.
like that. He'll always
Mhm.
try to get the best out of the current lot that he
Mhm.
has, and he has already
Mhm.
said that if he gets Cristiano Ronaldo play with him this season,
Mhm. Mhm.
Cristiano Ronaldo brings in goals. Uh,
Mhm.
and from what we have seen, Eric Ten Hag is a tactician. He knows how to
Mhm.
manage players. He can have a very good outlook on the game, a very different outlook on the game, which many of us don't see. How do you feel regarding this particular thing? That how will he fit into the system? That's what I was asking. I have
Yeah.
one comment, then I'll get to you. Uh,
Mhm.
there is an interesting comment from Ashley Dello. He says, important news. Following Ajax last season matches, Martinez has been man marking Nunes and Haaland so well that he has followed them to England to continue doing the job. In another comment, he says, on a serious note, CR7's so called love for Manchester United is fake. Real love would have made him stay even though without UCL football. True love is Totti, AS Roma, Gerrard, LFC, Shearer, Newcastle. That's a very good comment, and that is
Yeah,
actually the
I
case that
agree.
Manchester United, for Cristiano Ronaldo, his first love is that he becomes one of the greatest players. His first love is not that he becomes a great Manchester United player. And these players are all so much in love with their club, or were so much in love with their club when they were playing, that they wanted to be a great in that particular club. That's a given. Now
This,
coming back to
yeah.
Anshuman regarding the role of Cristiano Ronaldo in Eric Ten Hag's system.
I mean, in response to that comment, I don't think the two things are mutually exclusive necessarily. I think Cristiano can have admiration for his time at Manchester United and still want to move away and play Champions League football and get his own glory. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, as far as I'm concerned, I would wish for him to go and play that Champions League football and get some glory. But yeah, I think Ten Hag, when he gets Cristiano, he would very much love to work with the player. It's the noise that I'm more worried about. And I think if he gets to get the players that he wants, like Frankie de Jong is almost done, Christian Eriksen is almost done, and yeah, Lisandro Martinez is also done. So if he can get those players and if he can get a better structure, I think he can create a system that will provide Cristiano with a better foundation than he had last season. Because last season, even before the whole Cristiano return happened, we saw that Manchester United had a lot of tactical issues that Cristiano had nothing to do with. Like in the
Even
beginning,
even in the last few games of the previous season, we
yeah,
were talking about
yeah,
the last few games that we played. We were dropping a lot of points at that particular time, even before we lost the Europa League final.
yeah,
We were
yeah.
already struggling because of injuries or whatever, but we were already struggling by that time, and some cracks are already showing. It was just that it was exposed in the next season. So
True.
yeah, there can be a system. There can be a system. I completely agree with that, and I believe that I always believe that this is going to happen. It was more of a show and pump thing because there are many things regarding football and Manchester United that don't really make sense, but they happen because it's a big name. They bring in views, and one thing, it's a dominoes effect. One news spirals on, and everything becomes a shitstorm. And at first also I didn't think it was that much big of an issue, but we'll see how things go. Do you have any particular role in mind, Anshuman? Because we have to move on from this. Do
Hmm.
you have any particular role in mind for Ronaldo in Eric Ten Hag system that you can think of directly on the top of your head?
I think the role that Sebastian Haller played last season at Ajax would be something akin to what Cristiano would be asked to do. Like he will take most of the responsibility away from him as far as the having too much touches in the ball on the ball is concerned. So let's say that if Bruno Fernandes was to play in an unconventional number nine system, he would take the ball, he would try to put the ball either back into the midfield, or he will try to throw it out wide to the likes of Rashford and Sancho. Out on the wide, who would like to come inside with the ball. So that would be a completely different thing. I think Cristiano Ronaldo would become that very conventional number nine. He would be asked to rely on his positional awareness, of which he has a lot. He's very good at that, and he's good at snapping up chances in the 18-yard box. So he would be asked to use that. And the thing that I was talking about, Manchester United having issues at the start of last season, especially when dealing with attack to defense transitions, that was a very big issue. And Cristiano's arrival just made it a lot worse because then United couldn't do anything about it. Because before that, you have a set of players and you can switch it around and you can try coaching, but all of that goes out the window when you have a player you cannot drop. So that becomes an issue. And I think Eric Ten Hag needs to be on top of the situation. I hope he is. And I think if he's treating this whole preseason knowing that Cristiano is eventually going to come back, he's going to coach the team in a similar way. He's going to create the SAT system. Having multiple systems is obviously very important, and having one in which you can have a conventional number nine up top who can head in the goals, just tap in the goals. I think that is very important, not just in the context of a 60-game season, but also in the context of a game in which Cristiano would definitely come good in the last 5 to 10 matches because he is a clutch player and he does come good and he scored a lot of winning goals. So there is that. So that is the kind of role that I think Eric Ten Hag would ask him. Ideally, if he could do that, I would say that he would ask Ronaldo to not start more than 30 games, and he would ask him to play more of a substitute role and feature heavily at the back end of the season whenever the chance comes, especially in the knockout games, because that is Ronaldo's specialty, and no one's ever going to take it away from him, no matter how old he gets. But sadly, the reality is not that way because the moment Cristiano is not playing, everything will become about him. So that is something that I would like to see how Eric Ten Hag deals with it. He has been very diplomatic so far while talking about Ronaldo. He's been praising him constantly. He hasn't really said anything akin to the lines of, "Oh, he's not coming back, so we are not really caring about him." He's been very diplomatic, so good on him
He
for
has
that.
said that he has said that Ronaldo is not for sale. No, after the
Yeah,
Liverpool thing,
yeah. I mean,
he has said this.
The United do have to maintain that stance the same way Barca had maintained their stance that Frankie De Jong is not for sale. But it's more of a thing that no one really wants Ronaldo other than Manchester United wanting to get rid of him. So there is that. And yes, so to end my answer, yeah, the Ronaldo will be playing that conventional number 9 role, and ideally, Eric Ten Hag would want him to play a lot less than he would be forced to play, because it's Cristiano Ronaldo and you do not drop Cristiano Ronaldo. So yeah, that will be interesting to see how the whole thing pans out. It will be dramatic at the very least.
Wali, same question to you. Do you have anything particular in mind regarding Cristiano Ronaldo's role in Eric Ten Hag's system? Uh, and how do you think he'll
Well,
fit? Because well, as things go, as far as things are, he is going to play a role in Manchester United next season.
to be very honest, I feel that Eric Ten Hag won't be too fast if Ronaldo leaves Manchester United. It's just that, like Anshuman said, it's the club which is actually more in need of having Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo as the brand, because we all know if Ronaldo is there, you're going to make more money. So that's Manchester United's stance. Eric Ten Hag would rather prefer having some other striker, or even Anthony to come on the wings, and Anthony Martial playing as a centre forward. That might be the case. But I honestly don't think that he's too fast. And another thing that I would like to say is that if he is there, I do feel that he's going to get you the goals. But when we might not be able to get that frontline pressing that we saw in the previous game against Liverpool, or you never know. It's because if you could see David De Gea coming off the line, then I think anything is possible. I think Ronaldo could press. You never know, but if you look at his age, I don't think that he could go on for too long. So you would have to give him a rest, give him a break, and he would have to be all right with. He will have to be okay with that decision, because even last season when we saw when Ralph Ragnick was taking him off, like when he was making him his substitute, then there was often this disappointment when Rashford was coming in place of him. That was often the case with Ronaldo. So you will have to manage him. You will have to manage that personality, and that is going to be something more of a challenge for him, for Eric Ten Hag. But to be the other thing that which I would like to point is that there's a difference in narrative. The comment that we got a few minutes back, in which they said that Ronaldo doesn't love Manchester United. True love would be something of what Alan Shearer and Totti did. I solely agree with that. That's a very good point. It's just that the media creates this narrative. Now you have a player over here, a superstar, whose agent is basically going everywhere right now, Bayern Munich and PSG, and he wants his player, because the player is unhappy. He wants to move away from the club. But certain section of our fans, well, we're not too fussed about it, because we hail Cristiano Ronaldo as a legend. And although like it's happened in the past, it's happened. Like Paul Pogba has made his move, but even when Paul Pogba's agent was doing the same thing, we were painting a different picture. Now Ronaldo is a person who actually won everything in his life, and he has nothing left to prove. And meanwhile, Paul Pogba, on the other hand, like he's still in his prime, you could say, and he has a lot to win. He has a lot to offer, which is why he wanted to move. So it's just that it frustrated me. The treatment has been different. I'm a big Cristiano Ronaldo fanboy, but at the same time, there really needs to be equal treatment for every player. He's clearly on the move. He doesn't want to stay at Manchester United. If he stays, yes, we will get the goals. Definitely, we will get the goals. That might hamper our style of play. That might hamper Eric Ten Hag's managerial approach on the pitch. But you never know. Like I've said, if he's able to convince him to do something like what we saw in the first game, then we might be in for a treat. Otherwise, it might be a big problem. We'll just have to wait and watch.
Okay, let's shift the conversation from that to Maguire, Harry Maguire to stay as the club captain. That is a big statement coming out of Manchester United, but one I feel is a very smart move from Eric Ten Hag, and we have one comment regarding that as well. Harshly again, constantly being with us with the comments. He's saying Eric Ten Hag is very intelligent. Keeping Maguire as captain is a strategy for keeping the stability of the team. Bruno is going to be the captain as Maguire will be on the bench with Martinez's imminent arrival, and that's very smart from Harshly, and that is something exactly what I feel is that Eric Ten Hag has done a brilliant job in protecting Maguire while also uh, giving Bruno a chance as a captain in the first game where he was the captain and he lifted the trophy. So it's a sign of things to come to not come out and strip Maguire of the captaincy, which will further uh, plummet his morale down. So that is I think that's a good move, but I think we'll have to wait and see how things go from there. Anshuman, how do you feel about this particular move with Maguire staying the club captain under Eric Ten Hag, at least for the time being?
I think Ten Hag has been quite diplomatic with the whole situation, and I'm glad that he has gone this way because we have discussed this thing in the past as well. And the captain's role in football compared to cricket is a lot more superficial, and it's a lot more like having a face of the team. Like Maguire will be required to do a lot of media duties. He'll be required to make a lot of comments, as Premier League captains do. They have to attend a lot of meetings that are part of the corporate responsibility programs and all that stuff. So to strip him of that captaincy is not really required. I think if you are a leadership figure, you can be that leadership figure in the dressing room without having an armband around you. You don't really need that. And despite what the common image of Maguire is, I think he is a senior figure. He understands the position he's in. And if you are a realist and if you don't want to be sensationalist about Maguire, you will also understand that it hasn't been easy for him over the last 12 months because this is a guy who for 2 years played almost every single game for us,
Mm.
and unquestionably stuck around for Solskjaer because Solskjaer did not want to lose him. Say as this was pretty much the same case with Rashford as well. They both carried on playing despite not being physically fit. It took a psychological toll on them because of course it did. And Maguire finally, when physically did give in at towards the end of the season before, we saw how much we missed him, and he had a very good Euros, and he comes back from that. And Manchester United's tactical policies make sure that he does not have the greatest of returns. And the 2 years of struggle that he had before that, 2 years of giving everything to the club, not taking a break, it starts taking a toll on you. Your performances are not the same as they were for the past 2 seasons. And because everything around you is tumbling down quite quickly, you also become get embroiled in it. And because he's the captain, he's also a very soft, he's a very easy corner, and things just keep getting worse and worse for him because even at the back, his role is to be the ball progressor. He's the one who's supposed to bring the ball out from the back, and he's the one who's supposed to be the captain. He's the one who's supposed to keep this whole thing afloat, and the whole thing cannot be kept afloat because of things that are not entirely in his control. So all of these things meant that Maguire's season that was not good just got from bad to worse, and it reached a point where he just got inside his own head, and we saw him making mistakes because he did make some very crucial mistakes that don't put him in a very decent light. And if you are a casual fan, you would look at him and say that okay, this guy does not know football. But if you want to have some kind of rationality around the argument, you would understand what he's going through, and he needed to be taken out of the firing line. But it's just something that cannot happen in a sport that doesn't really stop. So yeah, Ten Hag has done a very decent, has kept it simple. He hasn't tried to overcomplicate the situation by putting Maguire in even more spotlight. He has let him remain the captain, so he can just carry on the same way he used to. I think that now that he's getting Lisandro Martinez, and because he's more of a hands-on coach, and because he wants to build a proactive approach, so having a progressive centre back in Harry Maguire is something that I only think will help him out. And I genuinely believe that Maguire is going to have a better season this time than he did last time because last season wasn't really that much of a tough ask to improve upon, right? So, yeah, I'm glad Eric Ten Hag has gone down the way he has, and I hope for Harry's sake that this season turns out to be a lot less tumultuous than it was last season.
Wally, Maguire club captain for another season at least. Uh, what do you think?
Well, people were reading into it a lot because I saw that interview, and when he was asked that question, he just said that we're going to continue with the same process, and Maguire will be the captain. And he said it like in a very diplomatic manner. And why would he change it like initially? Initially, he's going to stick with the same things which have been followed for the past 2 years. Even if you look at the team sheet, the first 45 minutes, it was similar to what we've been doing for the last 2 years. The same similar team sheet, like McTominay and Fred were right there. Donny Van de Beek didn't get a sniff. Like he did come in the second half, but in the first half he wasn't there. So he was following the same principles which were being followed for Manchester United. So I think like it's a decent call. I think Harry Maguire there's definitely room for improvement from Harry Maguire. You could say he's a good ball carrier, but he will definitely have to improve because yes, he has his moments of madness, especially in defense when he's one on one with a player. recovery base isn't too well. And if you compare him to any other defender for that matter, if you just look at Eric Bailly, the confidence in which he actually uh, defense at centre back, it's like it's chalk and cheese. The number of interceptions that he made in the game versus Liverpool, if you talk about his solo run, that's there in Eric Bailly. But the problem with him is that it's just that he's not consistent enough and he's injury prone.
Very
The
friendly
same
with
goes for
Word
Alvaro.
when you're home
Unfortunately, like
to
he's one of the
Bournemouth.
players who's
Like home
actually
to Fulham when
we were
you're at
quite excited
home.
for, but he also remains quite injured for United. So you just have Harry. You have to stick with Harry Maguire. And although, like the previous comment did mention that Maguire might be in the sidelines, I honestly don't feel that's going to be the case. I think we're still investing in him. There was a time when Liverpool fans were quite annoyed with Jordan Henderson as the player and Jordan Henderson the captain. But now there's a massive difference. Although you might say that he's not one of the most talented ones out there in the Liverpool department, but Jurgen Klopp definitely agree on him, and he's finally delivering as a captain, as a skipper. So you never know. The same might happen with Harry Maguire. Let's give him another opportunity. And although I would have been much more satisfied if David De Gea would have been made the club captain, but yeah, he also had his flaws. None of the players have been performing. Let's be very honest. So why change? Like we do not have one suitable candidate. Like this is the guy who's going to be our captain. We do not have the answer. If we say that for Ronaldo, well, he wants to leave, so he definitely doesn't want to stick around. Bruno Fernandes also had a relatively poor season. Marcus Rashford has been out of form. Almost every player has been out of form. So why go for a change over here? You just look at how things pan out. If it doesn't work under a performing team, then you make the change. Then you single out that Maguire, you need to sit on the bench. We have other players, I think, who want to be much more suitable than you, and we're going to skip. We're going to take this armband off of you. So I think that's going to be the case. But as of now, I think Maguire sticking him with the captaincy armband is something which shouldn't be too heavily looked into. So I'm fine with it at this moment of time.
Ashley has another comment for us, and this might be the last thing that we talk about in today's episode. Look for Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, and Harry Maguire. Can't believe I am saying this about him next season. I feel that they will be on another level. What do you feel about this, Wali?
I honestly
Your
feel that
favorite
Jadon
player,
Sancho.
Anthony Martial, was also quoted here.
Well, yes, Anthony Martial. Like I've already said that he's the second coming of Karim Benzema. I've said that time like over
Don't
and over
bring
again.
your jersey out. Don't bring your jersey out. Please,
I'm not
this
gonna.
season, let that jersey remain in the closet.
It's in my locker. It's in my locker. It'll remain in my locker. You don't worry about that. Anyways, but I have high hopes from Jadon Sancho. I honestly feel that he's going to be one of the most
This could
valuable
be the
players for
season.
Eric Ten Hag because he's
Yeah.
got that fight in him.
Flair,
He's got that
the
fitness as
flair
well.
about him.
Even defensively, if you look at him, he contributes there as well. Something which Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford lack in. I think even if you talk about tracking back, that might change this season. But Jadon Sancho had that, and even under Ralph Rangnick, I saw that in him. And like I've said, he already has a lot of flair. His finishing is pretty good enough. He's got that personality. I feel that he might do wonders under Eric Ten Hag. Maguire, yeah, plenty of people believe that he might be the guy who will definitely do something next season, but I'll have to wait and watch on that one. But yeah, Sancho is someone who I'm looking forward to.
Anshuman, regarding that
Mhm.
comment, any any comments regarding that?
No, no, nothing in particular to add. I think Marcus Rashford and Harry Maguire are going to have better seasons because it needs to be taken into account as to what they have gone through last season. So there is that, and Jadon Sancho again. It was Jaden's first season, and what he was planned as for when Solskjaer signed him completely changed when Cristiano arrived. So you had all of that change going for him as well. And it's important to remember that he's 21 years old. And I have said this before: when young players move the clubs, as a rule of thumb, I just write the first season off completely because they need to get accommodated to the new surroundings. They need to be comfy. And he arrived at a club that was just about to go on fire once again. So it wasn't an easy season for anyone last time. So I don't really expect them to be as bad as they were last season. So yeah, they are under a coach who's very hands-on. They I have now experienced a situation that from compared to which things really can't get much worse. So yeah, I'm very much of the mind that they are going to do much better this season than they did last season.
Okay. Okay,
Keep an eye
so
on
I
Diego
know that
Dallo also this season, by the way.
Diego Dallo, yes, the amount of times that he hits the crossbar, it's insane. Insane. How can one player hit the bar or the post so much? It's unbelievable at some point. Because I have seen him hit the bar at least 10 to 15 times, and that is me saying at least. It's crazy how many times he makes a great attacking move, and then he hits the bar or the post. So we'll have to wait and see how he performs because he can
One final
contribute
thing,
intensity in attack
like
as well.
these players will have to perform. The reason why I say that is because this manager is ruthless. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I think it's Will Fish who has been called upon to Australia because he doesn't. Apparently, Eric Ten Hag doesn't want Alex Telles to feature as a left centre back, like for now, not even in preseason. So he was definitely not impressed with Alex Telles, and he now wants a youngster to replace him in preseason. I don't know. We might see him in the starting lineup tomorrow or something like that. But like this
Eric,
manager is
Alex Telles is not gonna have anything regarding Manchester United.
so yeah.
That's I have not seen this. I have not seen Alex Telles what he's facing this summer. Uh,
Although yeah, I wanted Wan Bissaka to be sold. I really need another backup right back because if Dalot gets injured, I'll be worried.
Manchester United star who had a furious bust up in training. Oh, he had a heated confrontation with Hannibal in training. So that can be one of the reasons why we're seeing this. Something has happened because it's quite uncharacteristic of Eric Ten Hag to do something like that, especially in preseason. So, I don't know. That's going to be interesting how he takes Alex Telles and everything regarding that. I think we've talked about everything we wanted to. Any final thoughts, Anshuman?
No, just another reminder for everyone to be realistic, not just after the game, for the entire season. Because this is something I say everywhere I go whenever I get a chance to
That
speak. That
won't happen, Anshuman. This is
won't
Manchester
happen. It
United.
won't happen. But I'm saying this more for myself than anyone else, I
we,
suppose. But yes, being
we win
realistic is
three games.
important.
Anshuman,
Because
mind you, we win
I
three
have that
games.
impulse as well. When United are beating Liverpool 4-0 in a otherwise pointless match, even I'm like, I should be jumping crazy. But yeah, just
We
telling
win
myself.
three games. I'm telling you, we win three games. Our fans are shouting 21 is coming, and then we're gonna fall on our face flat.
Hmm.
Okay.
But that's all I can say. And I just be realistic. Be realistic. United will lose match. They will draw matches. But just Ten Hag needs to find his feet. And let's just hope that the new hierarchy is able to create a system that can back Ten Hag consistently instead of whatever we have seen over the last 9 years. So yeah.
Okay, Wally, any final thoughts?
Yeah, like tomorrow we face Melbourne victory, so I expect our team to play well again. Like even if it's a 1-0 or a 2-0, I just want us to have a prominent pattern of play, which I saw in the first half against Liverpool. If that's something which we consistently do, I will be happy with that, regardless of the results that we get. It's going to be followed by. We need to be consistent with our patterns of play. That's been something which has been inconsistent. That's all I ask for because once we implement that, eventually we will perfect that. Once we perfect that, we will win games in a consistent manner. So yeah, let's just build on a prominent pattern of play and enjoy the games.
Ashley Dello says, "Thank you guys. Great participating with you. God bless you and your family. Here's, have a nice time till we meet." Okay, bye bye, Ashley. Hopefully, you join us again for the future live sessions as well. Also, Ashley is saying that Nani will be playing against us tomorrow. So that's also interesting. Our former player, the former flair celebration machine, Nani, who is going to play against Manchester United. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see you guys again really, really soon. Thank you for joining us. I see a lot of numbers watching us live. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully, you guys can comment as well from the next time onwards. We'll have a nice chat, and we'll talk about Manchester United and more. Uh, till then, it's a good night from us. Me, Parthos Joshi, Wali Siddiqui, and Anshuman Joshi.